The man sheds a bottle of DTV with tears, trying to protect the corpse of his son under the cliff. But he didn't expect that as soon as they left, a rabbit could smell the smell of blood. Looking at the delicious food in front of him, the rabbit began to bite without saying a word. Unexpectedly, the rabbit's intense pain shocked the boy. He grabbed the rabbit's neck and threw it down. He thought this would solve the crisis, but the boy found himself on the cliff. At this time, he was trapped on the cliff and couldn't move at all. The desperate boy shouted loudly, but there was no place for the bird to poop. He thought he would be starved to death sooner or later. So the boy had a bold idea. He carefully climbed down, but because the 90-degree cliff was too short, the boy almost fell off the cliff. Fortunately, he grabbed the stone phoenix in time to save his life. But at this time, he was not optimistic. The whole person was hanging in the air. What's worse is that the weather changed instantly. As the heavy rain continued to fall, the cliff became more and more slippery. Looking at the ground below turning into an endless sea, the boy jumped down without thinking. When he woke up from a coma again, he found himself in the wilderness. Although the boy almost saved his life, his leg was broken by the cliff. This also caused him to have no ability to walk at all. He could only climb to the river bank and drink muddy water. Then he found a few pieces of stone to hold the phoenix. He used his strength to force the bone to return to its original position. Then he fixed it with 2 branches. However, just as he was about to leave, he suddenly found a few wolves nearby. The boy, frightened by the horror, ran away. Finally, he climbed to the dead tree and managed to escape. The next day, the boy found a few bugs attacking him. Unexpectedly, the smell of meat attracted the wolf again. This scared him to climb to the tree again. Unexpectedly, he was caught by a wolf. At a critical moment, the boy stabbed him with a fruit knife. Then he climbed to the top and hid. Unexpectedly, the wolf didn't want to leave. When the boy woke up the next day, he found that the wolf had disappeared. There was only an injured wolf lying on the ground. The boy was ready to kill it to attack, but looking at his pitiful eyes, the boy still couldn't bear to be so cruel. Then he came to the river bank to find herbs and help the wolf to treat the wound on his body. The next morning, the boy just woke up. Suddenly, the wolf broke free from the shackles. He stared at the boy with his teeth and mouth, but the boy was still friendly. He forced himself to throw water at the wolf out of fear. The wild wolf angrily lowered his head towards the boy. His eyes were full of hostility. The boy gently comforted the wild wolf. He told the wolf not to be afraid. He said he wouldn't hurt the wolf. The wolf seemed to understand the boy's words. The boy's emotions slowly calmed down. The boy's actions finally relieved the wolf. He finally let go of his tongue and drank the water out of his mouth, but it only solved the water source problem. They didn't have food. It was easy for them to survive. The boy searched for a long time, but only found some bugs. He forced himself to attack and gave some to the wolf. He encouraged the wolf to kill a rabbit. The wolf saw the delicious rabbit and couldn't stand it. He slowly approached the rabbit to see the chance. Then he rushed up to grab the meat. Unexpectedly, the boy turned his back and slapped the rabbit, but he thought the barbecue was better, so he set fire to the wood. Finally, the smoke came out. The boy was full. The wolf could only stare at him. He was so pitiful. The boy turned to the wild wolf and found his eyes were grieved. The boy couldn't stand it, so he made a rule with the wild wolf. The food must be distributed by the boy. Then the boy gave a piece of meat to the wild wolf. At nightfall, the boy carefully reached out his hand to touch the wolf, but the wolf stuttered at him again. The boy was so scared that he shrugged his hands. Then the boy and the wolf looked up at the sky. They seemed to reach a consensus. The next day, the boy was about to go home before the snowstorm came, but the wolf bit his scarf and refused to let go. After a long time, the boy finally got it back. He chased the wolf in his mouth, but the wolf lay calmly and didn't want to leave. There was no way. The boy had to leave alone. But no matter where he went, the wolf was always behind him. Now the man was completely blind. He picked up the stick and hit the wild wolf. Finally, the wild wolf stopped doubting. He ran to the man quickly. The man was stunned for a moment. He didn't know what to do. But the wild wolf ignored the man and ran to the front. He followed the wolf and found several wild boars at the foot of the mountain. The wolf rushed out. The boy raised his long hair nervously. When the wild boar was driven to the boy, he didn't dare to shoot. He could only watch the wild boar running. The wolf looked at the boy with contempt. He couldn't believe he had such a boar teammate. Although the boy explained to him, the wolf was still speechless. It was getting dark. The boy was still a little scared, so he whispered and walked behind the wolf's ear. The wolf came to the boy unconsciously to protect the boy. When the boy was tired, he would stay by the boy's side and let the boy sleep in peace. When the boy was hungry, he would help the boy hunt the prey. Although the boy was clumsy, as long as the wild wolf was there, the boy didn't worry about eating and drinking. As time went by, their relationship became deeper and deeper. When the boy was sleeping, the wolf would quietly stay by the boy's side to give him warmth. But the wolf was too smelly. The boy was going to give him a bath. He was rude. He threw the wolf directly into the water. After the bath, the wolf saw that there was a fish in the river. He took the opportunity and bit the fish. From then on, the boy and the wolf depended on each other. Winter was coming soon. The snow covered the mountains. The boy could cooperate with the wolf to kill the prey. That night, the boy was eating well, but the wolf suddenly stood up. The boy looked up and found a pair of eyes in the dark. He was getting closer to them. The boy got up in a hurry to defend himself. It turned out that a group of wolves were coming with a group of wolves. The boy quickly took out his long hair, but the wolf didn't intend to hurt them. At this time, the boy walked directly to the wolf. After a few words, the wolf left with the boy. But every night, the boy still missed the boy because he had already regarded him as his family. The boy was sad for a night. The next morning, he went home alone. soon. In order to save time, he decided to cross the ice. 20,000 years ago, there was a blizzard. He trudged forward, but suddenly the ice cracked at his feet. The boy fell into the icy river. The water was turbulent. He struggled to knock open the ice, but the ice was tens of centimeters thick. He couldn't break it. At this time, a group of wild wolves suddenly appeared on the ice. It was the wolf. He found the thinnest place on the ice. So the wolf jumped up and used all his strength to hit the ice. Unfortunately, it didn't work. So the wolf quickly bit his clothes and pulled the boy up. In the snow, the boy was completely wet. He was shivering. He held on to the ice. Then he took off his clothes and hugged the wolf. The wind and snow were getting heavier. They had to keep going. At this time, the boy suddenly found a tent far away. There was a person sitting next to him. He was very happy. He rushed forward excitedly. But as soon as he got close to the tent, he looked carefully. He fell into despair again, because the old man outside the tent had already been frozen to death. The boy didn't give up. He walked into the tent to find some food, but no matter how he searched, he couldn't find any food. The boy was in a daze. He didn't know what to do. He couldn't help but scream like crazy. He was so weak that he couldn't stand the torture. He coughed so hard. His hands were covered with blood. It seemed that they were really desperate, but the boy still didn't give up, because he really wanted to go home. He couldn't bear to let the innocent boy accompany him to die in the cold wilderness. So he continued to go on the road with the bow and arrow he found, but he was targeted by the hunters before he left. These guys were very cruel. They forced him to a dead end. He could only take Alpha with him and stick him into the snowstorm. Fortunately, they found a hole and put him in it, but the hunters didn't find them. They all passed through the hole. The boy just wanted to take a breath, but Alpha next to him sensed the danger. He turned around and saw a strong ancient black leopard. The black leopard rushed straight to the boy, but he was caught by Alpha. Alpha didn't seem to feel the pain. The boy also bent his bow and arrow to support him. He shot the black leopard with one arrow. Alpha just stood up but fell down suddenly. He was bitten by the black leopard. The boy made the black leopard into barbecue and had a full meal. The next day, they started to go on the road. The boy found a stone monument in the middle of the road. He cut the snow flower. It was the mark of their tribe. It meant that they were about to go home. One by one, they continued to go on the road. But Alpha walked slower and slower until he was lying on the ground and couldn't stand up. He was badly injured. He was so weak that he couldn't even open his eyes. The boy held Alpha, who couldn't walk. Their fates were already tied together. They either live together or die together. He didn't know how long they had been walking. He saw his tribe in front of him. Alpha in his arms was still alive. He held Alpha, who was frozen, and went back to the tribe step by step. His father saw his face and couldn't believe it. The first thing the boy said after he was saved was that he must save Alpha. When the Saman witch in the tribe was treating Alpha, she found a surprising news. Alpha was pregnant. She gave birth to a few little wolves.